You might be wondering, what could a guy possibly talk about at 5:52 in the morning and has class in 2 hours? I chose to pursue art rather than securing my future with a stable job. To be honest, I could never ask for a better outcome than this. Yes, I'm cramming this assignment. And honestly, it was an impulsive decision. When I moved up to senior high school, I was gonna pick my strand. When I moved up to senior high school, it's time to pick my strand. I picked STEM. It's the most versatile and the most safest option there is. Well, I didn't have my future planned out at that point, so I just chose what's the most safest option. Become a doctor or something, or become an IT, an engineer. When you graduate college, you almost guarantee a stable job. Why didn't I choose it? So in the first few months of senior high school, I have this classmate who does art. He's also my friend. And when I took a look at his art, I was shocked, bruh. You can do this? Me? I can do that? So I brought out a notebook. I scribbled up a character. So I brought out my notebook and scribbled something. I can do that. And I scribbled this. Yeah, it was booty cheeks. But at the time, it was actually good. I didn't know I could draw anime. I thought I had potential. You know what I did? For 2 weeks straight, I only drew. There are artists that I look up to so much, like Yonea Mamai and Rello. Their art is amazing. So I was really determined to climb up to where they're at, where my friend is at. So I finished the first semester of senior high school. I sucked at chemistry. I fell asleep at every session. I got in a conversation with my uncle because he's the one who pays for my college. I told my uncle, I might pursue art in college. But you're in STEM. There's no art there. I said, yeah. I chose it because it's safe and I could just pursue art in college. And my uncle said, if you're gonna pursue art, you should start art now. My uncle is a successful man, and a successful man gives successful advice. So I took his advice. So I made an impulsive decision. So 2 months of experience in art. I chose the visual arts strand for the second semester. Not gonna lie, I hesitated so bad. I didn't want to do chemistry forever. I didn't want to do calculus. The one thing I truly love the most is making content. Ever since I was a child, I would always film myself. Like I would clone myself, I would put my video in reverse. It was cool at the time, but I really loved making videos. And I didn't know that there was a course named multimedia. You can draw, you can make videos, you can do all sorts of things. Media, content. That's what I like. When you're living in a third world country, money is the most important thing. When I went to my first class for the second semester, I'm an art student now. I had crazy expectations. Like, oh my gosh, they're gonna teach me anatomy, they're gonna teach me perspective, they're gonna teach me how to draw the head in all different angles. They didn't. Honestly, taking visual arts in senior high school was a waste. I didn't learn a thing. This is what made me graduate, by the way. It sucked. And furthermore, it gave me more burnout than actually pursuing art. I hated my senior high school life. Why? It's because my expectations weren't met. If I were to go back in time, I would still choose visual arts. Because if I pursued STEM, it would also burn me out. So, lesson learned, always expect the worst. Wait. So, lesson learned, always expect the worst. Wait. Prepare for the worst, but hope for the best. After senior high school, I stopped doing art, and then came college. And that actually evolved my art. This was before college, this was after college. See the difference? God. And honestly, it depends on the school. If your school spits thousands of plates at you, you don't get room to learn. But here's what I learned in college. Professors won't teach you anything. They give you assignments and you learn in the process. But that's when you actually have time and you actually love what you're doing. But I'm not talking about that today. I can't tell you the whole story right now. Maybe I could save it for another video. If this video gets 100,000 likes and 1 billion views, probably not. So what made me finally choose art? My perspective was really different compared to back then. So what made me choose art? I was really inspired by these amazing artists and their talent and how they could create such an amazing thing with only just a pen and paper. Well, the most artists I look up to use digital, so when I got a first glance of their art, I said, wow, could I create something like that? I was awed. I loved the thought of doing that. And in the process of choosing art, I learned that media is for me. Even though I chose STEM in the first place, I eventually found out that this is more for me. I love creating content. I love video editing, I love shooting photos, I like drawing. So, what was I afraid of? I was afraid that if I chose art, I would end up on the streets. But after choosing art, I didn't know it was in demand. I didn't know that it could make a lot. I didn't know media could make a lot until I got into the industry. After I shifted strands, a lot of people actually thought of doing that as well. What I appreciate the most is I was brave enough to make the decision, to take the leap. What's up, danger? I mean, of course, I thought of taking the safer path, but it was boring. Actually, it was not. It was really hard for me. I hate chemistry, I hate calculus. I do not want to do that for the rest of my life. So, why was it worth the risk for me? It's because I trusted my uncle. If he was confident enough to tell me to pursue art, then he probably was in my situation before. I'm gonna take advice from a successful person. I can't count the times I have failed at art. I failed many times. I even stopped multiple times at this point. I don't know how much art blocks and how much career paths I've switched to, but it all led to art because as a daily media consumer, I see art every day. So art never really left my life. It was always there. Honestly, I couldn't imagine myself doing these artworks. If I were to give one advice to you, avoid all things that will kill your passion. Avoid it at all cost. In my situation, if I were to go back in time, in my case, I would do everything in my power to not make my passion feel like a job. I can confidently say that I'm happy where I am. Be brave enough to make bold decisions. Expect failure, but at the same time, expect success. So, what's next for me? I'm currently finding a way for me to get a stable job with my passion, of course. You know what? I'll update you guys when I reach that point. So, I have one last thing to say, and that is you have the decisions to change your life. That's it. And also, huge props to Early Exit because this video literally wouldn't be possible without him because I watched his video named Start a YouTube Channel and Change Your Life in 6 months, even if you don't have the perfect gear. I will not put effort into editing this video at all. I'm just gonna post it and see where it goes. That's it. Peace out.